You said in the book you don't believe it's such thing as a small lie. Explain that.
No such thing as a small lie because it positions leaders to make decisions with inadequate or inaccurate information. Man, that's really important.
Hello. Welcome to another amazing episode of Lead to Greatness, where we believe in helping others reach their greatest potential and together change the world. Today on Lead to Greatness, I am so honored to have Brandon Wilson, the author of the amazing book that I personally read called Sabotage, Leadership That Overcomes Betrayal, Theft, and Deceit. If this is your first time joining us on today, go ahead and subscribe. Hit that like button, hit the notification bell so you won't miss any episodes. Brandon is one of the world's best communicators and a sought-after executive consultant. His impact has helped leaders realize they're in pursuit. Brandon is a survivor of leadership sabotage. His bout with betrayal, theft, and deceit cost him more than $600,000 and threatened his livelihood in an unthinkable way. Please help me welcome Brandon with Overcoming Leadership Sabotage. This is Cedric Francis, and you're listening to Lead to Greatness.
I'm a son of a mom who was a healthcare provider and had a stepdad who was a butcher. And so we didn't have much. I mean, she was a nurse and he was a butcher. Grew up in the projects, and I would often see her, rush out, hop on public transit or catch a taxi to go to work. And I just remember saying to myself, man, one day I'm going to be in a position to change that reality for me. So when I look out my window, I don't see my mom rushing to catch the bus. And I said, what would that be like? And I always just dared to do more. Now, that daring to do more wasn't always matched with action. I was a kid like most of your listeners who did kid things. And it was a teacher who challenged me to put action with it. Beginning of my 12th grade year, she challenged me to apply for college. And she said, man, you're scared. I think you're scared of rejection. You're scared to take action. You're scared to do anything. Wow. And I said, well, I'm okay. I'm making good grades. He said, well, it's life beyond this high school here. And what else you want to do? I said, I'm going to college. She said, you ain't applied for school. So she bet me $20 that I wouldn't apply for a college, Auburn University. I took her up on that offer, shook her hand, filled out the application before her class period ended. She gave me $20 and then she snatched it back. I said, hey, Miss Ingram, you need to give me my money back. She said, well, the first rule of success is learning how to read, young man. Wow. And if you read the fine print there, that's the application fee is $20. So give me my $20 back. Wow. And she sent it in. My family would live. We would have life happen. Obstacles would happen. We would find ourselves homeless. And I received the acceptance letter from that application to the only college that I ever applied to as a homeless kid in a truck stop motel while my mom cooked on a hot plate for dinner that night. And I never looked back.
Oh man, and that is amazing, and really getting, because I really want to talk about this book here, Sabotage. I read this book from beginning to end, and I actually this past weekend I was in Starbucks reading the book. I had several people, it's a conversation starter. I guess I put it like that. A lot of conversations got started based on this book. But the book was so interesting, man. I've been studying leadership. This perspective of leadership is something that most people don't even talk about. And as I read the book, it's different things within organizations I've been a part of, leadership teams I've been a part of. Man, you know what? Let's talk about your book, Sabotage. What inspired you to write this book and why?
There was a gap in the leadership genre. And I didn't know it was a gap because, I was just going about my day. And one of the things I was realizing as organizational advisor and a communications advisor to a lot of great corporations, a lot of brands that you know about, many of probably shopping and buying right now, well, they have executives there who are people just like you and me. And they seek out to do really big things. And they often turn to consultants like me on how to do them. And we give them roadmaps and we set out goals and we hold them accountable. We say, wake up early, work hard, do what you say you're going to do, have integrity, what have you. But one of the things I started to notice was that it wasn't just that. that was impeding them from success, or the strategies I had to build. It was also limiting forces around every one of those leaders that moves about invisibly, that nobody knew how or what to call. They didn't know how to name it. But it was the proverbial spook behind the door waiting to trip them up as they woke up early, went to work hard, to be resilient, to have integrity, to do those things. And nobody was talking about that spook behind the door. And I would have a lot of conversations with leaders about employee defiance, about theft, things that scuttle, employees that seek to frustrate processes because they don't want to move beyond their present day comfort, and they want to slow down your plans because of, some ill-guided or self-fulfilling thing that they're after. You have just all manner of sabotage that's all around you. Revenge, corporate revenge, people stealing clients. And those things are realities that are at work even when we are not. And I tell people all the time that the front door of success has a front porch called sabotage. And before you go through that door of success, you have to learn how to either go through or around that front porch and deal with that sabotage. And a lot of leaders are not prepared to have that conversation. And so I wrote a book to challenge the conversation so that we all can be better leaders and we all can offer our gifts to the world uninterrupted.
Do you believe leaders can avoid sabotage?
I think they can minimize it or reduce it. I don't think it can be totally avoided. However, there are tools that leaders can gain throughout their leadership journey, tools that allow you to see the sabotage before it strikes you. When we drive our cars, sometimes we drive that car and we say to the passenger, something just doesn't feel right. Like I can't describe it, but my car ain't driving right. And so we have these instincts that tell us that something's about to betray us. In this instance, the car is about to betray you. And so then you go through some steps. You hire a mechanic or take it to a shop to get expert eyes on that thing. And then they figure out the root thing. And maybe it is something stayed in its function for too long, or maybe it was neglected, or maybe someone put something in it to ruin it, or some debris got in it and ruined the functionality of that thing. And then you're faced with two choices. You can repair that thing or you can replace it. Well, in the same way as our leadership journey, we have tools that we can utilize to see and diagnose and remove the forces that lead to sabotaging behavior, even in our lives as well. And so there are things that you can do to see sabotage before it strikes you, before that person steals from you, before that, because right now it's just luck and prayer.
Right.
I mean, by the time you realize sabotage there, that your soulmate been taken away by the guy down the street. Your business is gone. Your money's gone. And so, and what I believe I've given leaders in this book is the equipment needed to stop those forces from robbing the world of your leadership gifts. Listen, Cedric, we all have some incredible things to offer the world. We all do. And if we don't take this subject or this book serious, it's advantage saboteurs, because they will continuously stop us from making advancements that make our world better. And we can look at leader after leader after leader and see how they have either succumbed, survived, or wilted in the face of sabotage. And if they wilted or succumbed to it, we will never see the benefits of their gifts.
Brandon, I really thank you for writing this book, because this book, my brain just been really raveling just new concepts on things I never even thought about as far as sabotage. And you mentioned in the book, because we talked about sabotage, I want to talk about, kind of get into it, because you mentioned the car. And, in the car, they have indicator lights that comes on to kind of let you know something is going on. And you came up with some indicators in this book that I thought was amazing and beautifully done. You define leadership sabotage as the Four Horsemen. So let's talk through that.
Yeah, Four Horsemen of Sabotage. And, every time an act of sabotage is about to strike you, and let's name what it is, right? I mean, this is theft. It is betrayal. It is deceit. It is lying. But one of the more common is defiance. And I want people don't really think about this in a way. And I go to describe the different levels of defiance. I mean, there are passive aggressive defiance. There are people who peacock and say, oh, no, I'm not doing that. And you don't tell me what to do. And then there are defiers who defy by avoidance. And so the reason I share that practicality is because people may say, even listening to this, oh, nobody's going to steal from me. I know when people are lying to me, but you can't control people who defy you because they look to frustrate what you're after, slow down what you're after in order to stop you from fulfilling your maximum destiny or what you are designed to do. And no matter what shape sabotage takes, it rides in on a horseman. There are 4 horses that it rides in on our life. And this is a great way to think about it because you can see these things. Audience, if you see people who are on the horseman called jealousy, then you know that there is some activity, some sabotaging activity that's about to follow. Yeah. And jealousy is really misunderstood. We think jealousy is a feeling of deficiency in the face of somebody's prosperity, but it's not that. Yeah. The deficiency is not that. It's a feeling of hatred disguised as deficiency. Mm. And this is really important. And it sounds a certain way. It sounds like, why does Johnny always get? Why does Mary always have? And there are levels to this jealousy that's really important. You may get the horseman that's a novice, and that's what you will get. But if you get a skilled rider of that horseman, then it will escalate to covetousness, where there are these actual actions that people will take to start acting on that feeling of hatred by hiding, removing, or taking opportunities for your growth from you. And there are all kinds of other activities, but jealousy is something that I wanted to delve into more so than the other horsemen, because we think we know jealousy, but it is the most intoxicating and yet the most misunderstood horseman of all of them. The other horseman is arrogance. And arrogance needs no introduction. Right. We know it when we see it. Yeah. It tells you that it's here. Yeah. It says, hey, I'm here and I'm arrogant. These folks are known by their insatiable will for competition. They always want to compete. They feel like, and may not say it, but if you get a new car, they got a new car. You can't outdo them, but they're blinded. The people who ride this horse with blinders on. They're literally blindfolded. And all they know is that this horse is taking them to their ultimate destination. But the blindfold is really important because these folks are driven by blind ambition. Their actions, their recklessness, their decisions are made for themselves, not with any regard to the harm or the displacement that it does on anybody who's around the horse. It's really important. And we know arrogance, but I wanted to let you know, when you see it riding in, you're going to see some ambitious people coming into your life. Right. The other one are the liars. The liars are the great deceivers. There are levels to lying as well. And people who ride on the horsemen of lying do so to try to get you to look at other places. And they don't want you to know that they're there. They don't want you to know what they're doing. And they lie to distract you from their real intentions. And that's why they lie. But the more sophisticated of the horsemen who ride this horse lie to intentionally harm others. So it's not, don't look at me. It is, I have to get this person removed. I have a new supervisor and I don't want to be supervised. I have to get people to believe that this person is doing something unseemly. I have to get people to believe that this person is abusing his or her authority to get fired. And that's another level of lying that people, once we allow it to escalate, that this horseman, once they become skilled and we don't address them as a novice, then the limiting forces become our removal from situations, our removal from opportunities.
Before you get to the last one, I do want to say something, because you said in the book, you don't believe it's such thing as a small lie. Explain that.
No such thing as a small lie, because it positions leaders to make decisions with inadequate or inaccurate information. I mean, that's really important. That is the aim of the liar. If they want to distract you or remove you, they want you to make decisions on insufficient information, and you make mistakes in that way. And then they say, "I told you that Cedric was incompetent."
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there's no such thing as a small lie. And if we think there are, we'll let those small lies lie, and then they'll escalate. Those horsemen become more skilled, and then they'll start using lying, or the darts of lying, the arrows of lying, to remove you from your current perch.
I was thinking about that, and I was reading it, and I experienced a situation sometime. I don't want to pinpoint because people listen, but that was a situation with a guy. And this guy, what he typically do when he's leading, he treat the people that he's leading a certain way, but the people that's over him, he treat them another way. Like the person that's over him, they never get same individual that the people that work for him get. They get all the chaotics, all that sabotage. I seen this and I thought about this guy. All the sabotage. I mean, it was like the guy is very skilled. I mean, he's very gifted, and he know what he's doing. But I was thinking, I was like, man, for an individual like that, because it's not affecting you on your current level because you're over him, and he's normally stepping on toes to rise up.
That's right.
My thing, I was like, you have to really be careful with individuals like that, because they may not be stepping on you now, but because of their character, they're gonna step on you eventually.
And that's why these horsemen are important. Because they may not necessarily be doing things to you, but every one of these horsemen, when you go, after you listen to this podcast or view this podcast, y'all gonna go outside, you're gonna start seeing the horsemen running up and down your street. You can see them now. And they may be doing those things to other people, but you know that they're now in your midst, and you can now operate commensurate. And that last horseman are the seducers, and seducers, they enjoy getting you to jump on the horse with them. Let's go have fun. And they're really charismatic. They're well-spoken. They're well-manicured. They have great ambition, great plans. They call themselves ambitious. And they want you to go out there and do things that skirt the lines of ethics with them. Their joy is getting you to come along. They really don't care about the end goal, if they get caught or what have you. But as many people as they can get to go along with them, the more their credibility rises, but also the more patsies or scapegoats that they recruit as well, to keep danger and accountability from coming to their doorstep.
Oh, man, those are a load of knowledge. Boom, man, that's good. Go ahead.
The situation you described is classic operating behind false fronts. Where people, you may not manage them, or they may report up to somebody, and they may manage somebody else. And what they've done is they position themselves as the gateway for the flow of interaction and information between those they manage and those they report to. And this is a position of incredible power, because they now can operate with a false facade or false storefront when they're facing those they are accountable to say what so-and-so who they manage hadn't given them, if danger does come their way, to make themselves look more grand than they are, more credible than they are, more effective than they are, and vice versa. And so a lot of saboteurs find themselves wanting to reach that perch. And it is a coveted perch for saboteurs to achieve a position where they can operate behind a false front, because then that you don't really know what you're dealing with.
Brandon, you know this guy I'm talking about, right? I mean, you described him to a T. I mean,
they're all around. They're all around.
Yes. So you talked about in the book, I love it. I believe chapter 14, you transitioned, where you was talking about sabotage of others, but then you got into self-sabotage. I want you to dig into that a little bit, man. That was huge. That was huge.
Man, it's a surprise to some people when they read the book and they say, "Oh, I thought I was done. I thought I knew everything."
Oh, man.
But we don't, because we're still learning about ourselves.
Man,
you can't talk about sabotage without talking about the things we steal from ourselves, the lies we tell ourselves, and the things we do to ourselves to rob our own ability to offer our gifts to the world. Like, look, listen, I mean, people think you are crazy, and they'll say you're crazy whenever you say you want to live your best life or a better life or do something different or do something better. And every time you take a step to do something greater, the first person you have to contend with is yourself. We are riders of those same horses, and we charge them into our own homes. And we tell our children. I remember about 20 years ago, I told a guy who was thinking about starting a business. He was older, and he told me, he said, I can't do that. I have kids. I can't take that kind of risk. And I remember I challenged him, and I probably shouldn't have done so publicly, but I said, shame on you. I said, think about what you're telling your children by refusing to live your best life and saying that they're the reason why you can't do it. Think about that. And so we often find ourselves on what I call the spectrum of susceptibility to self-sabotage. And if you read the book, there are these anecdotes, and I don't know if you read it, and the closer they sound to your life, the more familiar they sound to your life, you found yourself on that spectrum. And there are things that we tell ourselves and we say to allow us to acknowledge where we are on that spectrum, but there are also things we can do to overcome that self-sabotage too, once we identify why it's there. You know, if that was your dad or your mom who used that language that I just used previously, you need to recognize that that's probably why you hold tight to money and why you refuse to give yourselves opportunity to grow and to flourish. If you start telling yourself defeating things, it's because probably authority figures in your life when you were a child told you couldn't be. And being able to acknowledge that and name that, and hopefully my book helps people name and acknowledge that, then that's the first step needed to overcome ourselves and our own self-sabotaging ways and the mindset of poverty that comes with that. Then the mindset of complacency that comes with that, and even our fear of success. And listen, everything I'm telling you all is not what I've read in a book or experienced through advisory counsel to other leaders. I've also lived it. You know, I've been sabotaged by a leader, but in this instance, I'll talk about self-sabotage. I'm living what I consider to be my best life. I mean, I write books, I help folks. Every time I wake up, I'm working with a name brand from Apple to JP Morgan Chase, and you name it, right? It's just an incredible life. But I remember one time I told myself that I was going to start a business that delivered groceries to people's homes. and I was on fire about it. I said, this is what I'm going to do. I hired attorneys. I went and hired a research firm, and I interviewed a researcher, and I was walking out the door, Cedric, and she said, are you sure you want to do this? Because there was a guy who thought about doing the same business as you, and he's struggling. I mean, it's hard. And I got into that car, and the first thing I told myself after I cranked the engine up, do I really want to do this? Right. And I go home, I talk to my wife, and she said, oh, you got too much irons in the fire. You shouldn't do it. Oh, I don't know if you need to do it. I start talking to myself. Oh, I shouldn't do it. And I thought this business was revolutionary because it was a platform that would provide moms and a platform to shop for other moms. It would allow moms to buy things from moms. I thought it was just revolutionary. And then I gave up on the idea. I said, I don't know anything about grocery business. I don't know anything about logistics. I don't know anything about technology. I'm not a winner. I can't do it. I'm a loser. And I walked away from it. And there was a guy literally 15 miles from my house, 15 miles from my house. His name is Brad Smith, who had the same idea around the same time. And he was a high school dropout, and he saw himself as a winner. He said he was capable. And he started that company, and he did it. And it's called Shipped. He sold it a couple of years ago to Target Corporation for $500 million. Oh
my goodness.
And I was in a meeting with the president and CEO of Target. And he said, everybody, y'all want to know why I purchased Shipped? And everybody in the room said, why? It was a private meeting. It was about 50 folks there. He said, why? And he said, because I thought that it was outstanding that there was a platform that allowed moms to shop for other moms. He said that in front of me. And I stole $500 million from myself.
Oh my God.
I'm not telling you anything I read out. I am susceptible to these same things. And so nobody's immune to it, but now you have the equipment to make sure it doesn't stop you.
Yeah, and I dare you, Lead to Greatness, please get the book. I've read the book, and this book has really changed my thought process. And I'm actually gonna read it again And this time I'm going in, because I just read through the book and I took very little notes. But this time I'm going through the book. I mean, I'm gonna mark this book up to pieces because it's so fresh. I mean, it's like fresh information. I never thought about it. I've been in leadership, never thought about sabotage. I've seen it, reading the book. I mean, it just started popping up everywhere. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I mean, it's just popping up all over the place, man. It's like, wow,
Ooh, listen, on the leadership sabotage front, lead with character. Lead with character. There are no shortcuts to success. And the moment you try to take one, you fall right into the trap of saboteurs. There's no, and listen, and as an entrepreneur, I love the hard way because I know a lot of people not doing it. It's actually the path to least resistance. So do the hard thing and lead and do it with great integrity and great character. And on self-sabotage, harness and curate a positive self-identity. Start seeing yourself as a winner.
Yeah.
See yourself as a fighter. See yourself as a disciple of finishing things. And this is important. And when you start viewing yourself in that way, when people say you can't do things, you start hearing different. You know you've reached that point because then you stop hearing them say you can't, Cedric. You start hearing them say I can't. And they're just trying to project their inability upon you. Let their lived life not be yours. Those are two pieces of advice that I think will absolutely be game changers to you. And the last piece of sabotage that I will share that's going to happen immediately after telling your buddy, your friends, or thinking about going to get this book, people are going to tell you sabotage is not real. This book is trying to get you to be paranoid. And what they're really telling you is that I don't want you to be wiser than me. Preparing for sabotage is a matter of wisdom, not paranoia. We talk about mentorship. We talk about people we go to get advice from people. Whoever you look for, who has achieved or accomplished that place in their life, they are considered wise because they understand how to build strategies that allow them to give their gift to the world with the least possible resistance. And so this book is a gift of wisdom to you.
Brandon, that is a load of knowledge bombs. Wow, wow, wow. Brandon, I'm just thank you. It's a pleasure meeting you here today. I read your book and I finally get to hear the voice behind the writing that I read. I mean, this is so amazing. This podcast interview definitely means a lot to me to be able to be here with you, to be able to discuss this amazing life-changing book that has personally enhanced my thought process on
That's a blessing.
That's probably, so thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your kind words and thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. So Brandon, if someone wanted to connect with you and what you're doing, where should they go?
It's easy. BrandonWilson.co. BrandonWilson.co is the place where you can learn about me. You can book me for speaking engagements. You can buy the book at BrandonWilson.co. But you can also do something else at BrandonWilson.co. You can also reserve time with me. If there's something on your heart, something in your midst, something that's challenging you, just go to BrandonWilson.co. You can get time on my calendar, and I will generously share what I know from my 20 years of leadership counsel experience with you, free of charge. You know, my passion and my mission and my movement is connecting leaders to audacious pursuits. And I want you to be bold. I want you to be game changing. I want you to be world changing. And if you are on that route, go to BrandonWilson.co, hit me up, and I'll give you all the knowledge that I have.
Brandon, on behalf of the Lead to Greatness community, I want to thank you so very much for taking time out of your busy schedule, adding value to us all.
It's an honor. It's an honor.
And don't forget to subscribe to Lead to Greatness if this is your first time. And if this podcast was helpful to you, leave a big thumbs up. And also, I want you to check out our Marriage Coach podcast, the podcast with my wife and I. If you're on iTunes, please rate this podcast and leave a review and help get the word out. Again, thank you, Lead to Greatness Nation, for joining us on today. Looking forward to seeing you again on next week. Till then, remember, if you help others reach their greatest potential, together we can change the world. Peace. We out.